Good day, grade 11s, and welcome to the subject guidance session. We'll be having a look at your June exam and what you can do to prep in terms of the June examinations. So firstly, we'll look at the overview of term 1 and term 2 work that you should have done. And we'll look at the exam format, show you the different types of questions, how to answer them, and just a reminder for you to go to the OLP and work through some old papers. So firstly, in term 1, started off with revision of general drawing principles in your study guide 1316 to 111. Then we started with physical drawing work, where you started doing course drawings, with mechanical drawings, assemblies, and analytical. So it was page 1 to 5 and 60, 17 in your workbook, and then obviously page 23 to 225 in your study guide. You ended the term with isometric drawings, which was page 18 to 28 in your workbook, and page 33 to 312 in your study guide. We then looked at your 2-point perspective drawings, civil drawings, and civil analytical. So the 2-point perspective was page 29 to 43 in your workbook, and 43 to 48 in your study guide. The civil drawings, the analytical started page 44 to 48, then the physical drawings itself was 49 to 63, and then in your study guide it was page 53 to 523. So this is what you've done in term 1 and term 2 in terms of drawing content. So be sure that you have practiced all of them and you have a good grasp of how each drawing works and what is expected of you. So looking at your exam papers, there's 2 exams. So each one is 3 hours for a total of 150 marks. Starting with paper 1, it's civil drawings. Paper 2 is mechanical drawings. So paper 1, you can see that we start off with its first angle, and in paper 2 is third angle. So first angle, paper 1, start off with civil analytical. Then we have 2-point perspective drawings in the exam, and we'll end off with your civil drawings, which is mainly your floor plans, elevations, and sectional elevations. Then we look at the third angle photographic projection drawings, which is in paper 2. So we'll start off with mechanical analytical. We then have 2 isometric drawings, and we end off with mechanical assemblies. Okay, so that's what is going to be in the exam. Civil analytical, 2-point perspective, civil drawings, mechanical analytical, isometric, and mechanical assembly. So just to show you how the questions might look. So all these images come straight from your workbook. Okay, so it's not the exam question, it's just an example, so that you know what to look out for. So firstly, we start paper 1, question 1, civil analytical. You can see this is an example of a terrain plan or a site plan where we give you all the details, measurements necessary, and then we label it with some numbers. So I think this one goes from 1 to 5. And then obviously you'll get a title block with some more details. Who did the drawing? When did they do it? What's the company's name? And then in terms of questions, it's very simple. So most of it, I think usually the first 4 or 5 questions you can get from the title block. Like example, how many signatures were required? Then you go look in the title block and you can see who still has to sign it. Who did this? What is the second revision? Usually it's like, oh, they added a window or they made the parking bigger. So it's stuff that you can get straight from the title block. Okay, and then there is some study work in the beginning of each topic in your workbook. There is a page with all the conventions and drawings for civil and mechanical. So be sure to study that, because then you can answer, like example, question number 8, where it says name the feature at number 2. Then you go look for number 2. Okay, then you can see its entrance there. Know what a rotting eye is, inspection eye, your manhole. To just be sure that you have covered a lot of examples, okay, in the workbook, in your study guide, as well as past papers, so that you have seen and answered all possible questions that we can do in civil analytical drawings. Then question 2 and 3 for paper 1 is perspective drawings. Okay, it's important to note that we always give you a top view that is to an angle. So you can see this one is 30 degrees by 60 degrees, meaning that from your stationary point, you have 30 degrees and 60 degrees left and right to the picture plane. Take that down to your horizon line, and that's going to give you your vanishing point. So please notice you have to write down LVP and RVP. So left vanishing point and right vanishing point. You construct into the angle of the top view, meaning that it helps, because then you know that you are on the right track to complete your perspective drawing effectively. Then question 4 is is your civil drawings. Okay, so you can see we give you as much detail as possible. So in terms of the question itself, we tell you you have a window and a door schedule. We give you the scale for the floor plan and the elevation. We give you a scale for the detailed section view. We give you the table of electrical the electrical systems, as well as the table for the fixtures. So you just have to look at what is given in the question, and then also on the left-hand side where we actually give you the physical drawings to do, and you just have to use your prior knowledge and what is given, and then you have to complete your civil drawings. So this is, again, it's just a lot of practice and just knowing how each component, how a sink and a shower looks when you have to draw it, how a washing basin looks, the different types of toilets, how a door looks, the swing of a door is always towards a wall, stuff like that, that you are ready when we give you a civil drawing to do. Then we have question 1 for paper 2. It says mechanical analytical. Again, there's a lot of study work in the beginning of each topic in your workbook. So that's just going to help you identify the different types of fixtures and the different possible questions that we can ask in terms of mechanical analytical. So you can see, same thing, we'll give you a title block with a lot of details. What's the company's name, who did the drawing, what the revisions were used for. So you can get most of them in your title block. The other questions you can answer because you've studied it in the workbook. Okay, it's also a lot of details in the study guide that you can work through so that you know that you are okay. Okay, so now question 2 and 3 for paper 2, we know is isometric drawing. Okay, please always read the question, see that you use the correct scale. In this case, we give you point S, which is the lowest point of each one, or which is the lowest point of the drawing. So that's where you'll start the drawing. We'll give you point S or point A or point B, whatever the question asks, we do provide it to you, and then you'll get a mark if you start on the right place. Okay, be sure that you are in third angle if we get projection. This one is an example of a top view and a front view. Sometimes we do give you a left or a right view, meaning that the questions will sort of be the same, but we can have different variations when you actually do draw it. Then question 4 for paper 2 is mechanical assembly. Same thing with the civil. A lot of detail is given. Okay, so this is an exploded view and it gives you the front view. Then from 1 to 6 of each of the parts, we give you a front or a side view or front or top view with all the measurements necessary to draw it. So the best advice is to read the question carefully, look at all the parts in your mind, figure out how it will fit together. Luckily, exploded view helps with that quite a lot. And then my other advice for mechanical assembly is to start with the biggest piece first. So I would start with number 5. I'll draw in number 5 and I'll add number 6 on top because I know that's the 2 biggest pieces. From there, you can add number 3 on each side to the shaft, and then you can add number 4 over that, and then add 3 again. So draw the biggest piece. As it slides on, you can just add it, and at the end, just see what has to be cut or not. If it's a sectional or full cut, then you have already drawn all the components, and then just knowing and going to study to see what has to be cut and what not. Do you cut through a nut and a bolt? Do you cut through a shaft? So the stuff that you have to go and study in your workbook as well as your study guide so that you know how everything is drawn and what is expected of you when drawing it. So just how to answer different types of questions. So to draw different engineering, graphics and design tasks correctly, the following tips are of importance. The drawing must be practiced. The more you do, the easier it becomes. Make sure of topics to be completed each term in preparation for the term test examinations, formal course drawings, as well as your PAT. It is important to review prior knowledge on any given topic before you starting a new task on the same topic done in previous years. All drawing instruments must be clean before you start any task. That just helps with general neatness. Read all instructions thoroughly. Ensure to print your full name or student number in blue ballpoint pen on all drawing sheets, whether it's practice drawing, formal course drawing, test exam, or a PAT. It's important that we know who actually did the drawing, so please don't forget to write down your name. Drawing sheets must be positioned correctly. Use your T-square and any horizontal line on the drawing sheet as a reference in positioning the drawing sheet on the drawing board. So this just helps in terms of when we give you a front view or side view, or we give you a perspective drawing which has an angle, knowing that your page is set up correctly, straight, and it's parallel with your T-square, means that you will be more effective when you do your drawing. So drawing sheet corners must be attached to an A3 board with masking tape. The reason we say masking tape is because some drawing boards only have a clip on the left-hand side. Others have a clip on the left, the bottom, and the top right-hand corner. So it's just the masking tape is just used to keep the page still, so it doesn't move as you draw. So all drawings must be drawn with the correct instruments. It is important to do all tasks completely and neatly. Neat drawings always look better. SANS or SABS codes must be applied to all drawings. That's just the international standard. So the reason we do that is that everybody, when you do a drawing and you send it to someone else, and you did your bath or your basin or your nut and bolt your own way, the person receiving that drawing wouldn't actually know what you did because you didn't use an international standard of representing each one. So we give you, if it doesn't matter the language, we use SABS or SANS codes, meaning that when we send it to someone, they know this is a bath, this is a shower, this is a toilet, this is a built-in cupboard. So it just makes it easier for everybody to understand. Okay, so the next step is very important. When starting or placing the drawing incorrect in a test, examination, or formal course drawing, you should continue with the drawing and, if necessary, draw over the question, the given drawing, the frame, and the title strip in order to complete the drawing successfully, as time is always limited. So what this means is if you start your isometric drawing and you didn't put it on the right place, you didn't start with point SS or whatever the case might be, if you see that your drawing is going into the type part of the question, it's okay, draw into the type part of the question as long as you still draw neat and correct. If you see your drawing is a bit high and it goes over the line of the frame of the drawing sheet, it's okay, draw over it. Just be sure that you do the drawing as good as possible. So scales should be used as indicators for each question. If a scale is not given, use scale 1 to 1. Never erase any construction lines. Know all civil and mechanical theory. Okay, so I told you this is in the analytical questions. Know how a chamfer looks, a rounding looks, different welding symbols. So know what color glass is in civil, or know what color a brick wall is. Just there's a lot to go and study for analytical questions, but from grade 10 to grade 12, every single exam will have analytical questions. So might as well just study it now so that you know it for the rest of grade 11 and 12. Know all your symbols and acronyms. This is just an example where you look at your detailed sectional view of an elevation, where we give you the foundation. You have to put in your DPC. If I say DPC, do you know it's a dam protection cover, or your final floor layer or natural ground line? Please go and study them, know them, because you will use them quite a lot. Know how to construct all different polygons correctly, meaning pentagon, octagon, hexagon. Know the way to construct them. Don't use a stencil for them because you get marks when you draw them. So it's very important. And then do all hatching correctly. There's a difference between civil hatching and mechanical hatching. I hope you guys know what the difference is. And also, please never erase any construction lines. Okay, so we want to see how you got to your answer because you will get marks for the way you got there. Okay, that's why I said don't use stencils for your polygons, just as an example, because how do we know how you constructed it if you don't give us any construction lines to mark? Then just to go get some more practice in, so make the Optimi Learning Portal your starting point when you start preparing for the June exam. The easiest way to make sure you are exam ready is to work through past papers. Download previous papers as follows. So go to your OLP. Go to the resources at the bottom. Choose a subject, in this case EGD, but all your subjects does have past papers under resources. Then click on past exam papers, and then you can actually go and download. I think we've got 2020, 2021, and 2022's paper available on the OLP. So I hope you guys study hard. Good luck with the exam. I'm sure you guys will do well. If you have any questions, you can just email us on info@impact.co.za. That's info@impact.co.za. Subject line just EGD, let's say grade 11, and then you say exam or whatever question you have, and then you can ask your question and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.